Hey guys, welcome to a deck profile. In EX9, there's a set of cards that I think have a lot of power hidden in them, and I just wanted to bring them up to you all, show how I'm currently using them, and then show the current weaknesses, so that way maybe you guys can either adjust these ratios yourselves, figure it out. I'm going to keep tinkering with the list. I still don't know where I kind of want to end up with a deck, or even if I want to keep pursuing this angle and maybe just take it in a new angle. So to start off with, we're playing 4 Mother of the Reaper. We'll get into why in a second. It's not super important now. Let's talk about the core of the deck, and then we'll get to the engine and the miscellaneous portion of it. So here we've got 2 Kresk and 3 Blitz Greymon Ace. So Kresk Greymon Ace and Blitz Greymon Ace, they both do something very, very powerful. So first off, they're both aces that can go over blue and black and red and black. Black is a very important color because it lets them be used by my engine here. We'll get over that when we get there. Otherwise, they're pretty innocuous. They both have Alliance Blocker, on play when Digivolving, bottom deck level 5, on play when Digivolving, Digivolve 3. All turns, whenever a level 6 will be removed by effect, you can DNA 2 of your level 6s into an Alter S. End of turn, you can DNA 2 of your Digimon into an Alter S. Pretty simple cards, but there's a lot of power packed into these. So essentially, as long as you have a Alter S in hand, you cannot remove a level 6 on your opponent's field if they have a Kresk Greymon and a red source out, which is fantastic. It's very, it reminds me a lot of the old Omni Ace option, wherever your opponent would try to remove your Greymon, or Metal Greymon. If they did so, you would just immediately blast Ace from hand, and because they had the Ace, you also just couldn't like swing in appropriately without getting punished immediately. Super, super cool. I like it a lot. I like there's a lot of power here. We're on 4 of the EX4 Alter S and 4 of the new Alter S from EX9. And the reason for that is because you will go through Alter S's in hand so fast as your opponent attempts to remove them. And so you always want the ability to have at least one in hand in order to respond. This one is the best defensively, depending what your opponent's on, and this one is the best proactively, depending what your opponent's on. So, if you think that your opponent can't beat a 15k DP body, you can DNA into this. You're now immune to all of your opponent's effects for the turn, and you wipe out their highest levels. This one is remove 2 bodies at level 6 in an 8k or less, and then if it's removed in any way, shape, or form, it will be, you'll play these 2 out immediately. Again, this is not a like hard ones per turn, and even if it was, it's considered a new Digimon at that point, so you would be able to then go right back into a new Alter S, either one, should your opponent try to remove it. That's like the core philosophy of the deck. Now, the next point is, well, how do you win the game? That's actually really simple. So, once you've got one of each of these bad boys out, as long as you have some number of Alter S's in hand, the moment it comes to your turn, you can swing in Alliance for 2 checks at 24,000 DP. You'll beat over most things in the game. The only thing you need to worry about is options. And assuming you are worried about options, you could also just skip that first swing and go straight into an Omnion Alter S, swing in for 2 checks. End of attack, this recovers to your security. You play these 2 out, you get their on plays, and then you can do it again, swing, and then you can do it again, swing. And that's security +1, can't be redirected. Your opponent can't, this attack target can't change. So what that means is, if you've got your opponent on 4 security, you just need 3 Alter S's. 2 of these, and then any other Alter S will win the game. If your opponent's on 5 security, 3 of these, and any other Alter S will win the game. On the spot, immediately, and there's nothing your opponent can do, because these guys will be immune to any of their effects, including aces and whatnot, as well as the entire time you will be removing their board. You'll be picking apart their whole board throughout the entirety, which I think is exceptionally powerful. Now, mind you, again, let's say this comes back to you. These 2 represent 2 checks on their own, meaning that you only need 2 Alter S's in hand in order to actually finish the game. Oh, actually, my apologies. 2 of these Alter S's in hand in order to actually finish the game, plus another Alter S of any variety to do so, which I think is really interesting. There's a lot of power there, as we can see. Now, the problem with all this power is it's really hard to get 2 level 7 aces on field and have a surplus of Omnimons in hand. That was the core problem in the current philosophy of the deck at hand. Now, mind you, you could just hit the nuts. Hard play this for 7, turn 1, your opponent can't remove it, you promote the Mother D Reaper. You swing in for 2 checks here at an obscene number. You don't have to worry about 99% of the game anymore. And then you play this out for 7, and you pass to your opponent. If your opponent attempts to remove this by effect, you're completely fine. You wouldn't swing if you're worried about this getting removed by battle, by the way. But if they have to remove it by effect, you're still in a completely good position, because the moment they do, boom, into Alter S. And then if you go into this one, you can immediately swing at the start of your turn, do 2 checks, and then end of attack, spit these guys out, and then start the Omnimon combo from there. But it's still really hard to do that. It's also really hard to get enough Omnimons in hand to actually be viable. That's where the current engine that I'm using comes into play. So, we are playing the Dark Masters engine here. We are playing 4 Giga and 3 Lady Debbie. Now, those of you who've watched this channel before, you know that I'm a big fan of the Dark Masters. I think that they're super, super interesting. So I will try to keep their combos down to a minimum. All you need to know is the way that it's going to interact with this deck. So first of all, these will search the top 4 cards of your library, and they'll add any 2 level 6 cards to your hand. So that includes the Blitzgrays, the Omnis, the Crestgarurumons, the etc., which is really, really good and convenient. They also do something that's really good, which is end of the turn, you can delete one of your Digimon, be it themselves or a Mother D Reaper that you have available to you, and place a Dark Masters card in an empty spot in your breeding area, which is really important. Now, what Dark Masters are we currently running? We're running 2 of the Metal Z, running 3 Pied, and running 3 Machine. Now, you may be asking, okay, why? What exactly about these 3 cards are actually important? Well, let's start with the Metal Z. The Metal Z is actually a blue source. The Blitz and the Crest actually do not specify a Blitzmon or Crest, or a Blitzgraymon or Crest. They just say 2 of your level 6 Digimon may do X thing. So at end of turn, 2 of your level 6 Digimon may do X thing, and at the end of turn, or whenever a card would be removed by effect, your Crestgarurumon will trigger. And any 2 of your level 6 Digimon may DNA into specifically an Omnimon Alter S. So, let's say, turn 1, you go Giga, you add a Blitzgray and a Metal, you delete the Giga or the Mother, you place the Metal in Raising here, and then next turn comes around, you promote the Metal, you hard play the Blitz, and then you can actually DNA straight into an Omnimon here. Fantastic, and then it can swing in for 2 checks. If you kept the Giga around, and you instead of hard playing the Blitz, you Digivolved it for 4, it now has blocker and reboot as well. So if you go into the old Omni S, now it's a 15k blocker that if they attempt to remove in any capacity, be it by battle or by effect, it will immediately spit out the Blitzgray and recover to security. And then the Blitzgray will then Digivolve 3. Then should it come back to your turn, you can either, if you have the Mother still out, make use of that, or instead of just swinging, you can just hard play a Crest from hand, and now you have the lock back up, and it didn't cost you as much while you still were able to actually make an impact on the board. And I think that's really good and surprisingly very powerful. It's very hard to remove something multiple times because they don't know how many Omnimons are going to end up being in your hand once you have the Crest and a Blitz on field. It becomes exceptionally difficult. There's only a few things that actually do it. One of them being Digivolve, and it only works on this Omnimon. If you end up going into the EX9 Omnimon on their turn, they actually cannot Digivolve it or Source Strip it. So this is the only one that they can Digivolve and Source Strip, which is something you have to play around and understand kind of what your opponent's going to be doing. Typically though, decks that Digivolve or Source Strip aren't going to be decks that are going to just beat over the Omnimon Alter S. The only thing you have to worry about is the moment it comes back to your turn is what they're able to do to you, because you're no longer immune, you're just a 15k body with 2 checks at that point, which is a lot weaker comparatively. But, okay, that makes sense. For the Metal at least, and it makes sense for part of the engine. Why are you running 3 and 3? Well, that's because we are playing the last part of this engine, which is 4 Omnimon Zord. So for those of you that don't know what Zord does, just when Digivolving for cost of 6, it plays out 2 black or purple Digimon with a cost of 8 or less. So you can play out your searchers again to search. You can do a whole lot of different stuff with this card. But specifically in this list, what you can do is you can play out a Kresk and a Blitz, immediately setting up the combo on board. So, you know, let's say you go Giga, you place a Piedmon in Raising, you promote the Piedmon, and then you Digivolve into Zwart. Zwart mills the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you can play out these 2 cards from your trash. It's fantastic. It's a great, great recursive engine that your opponent has a really hard time actually dealing with. And I think it's very, very powerful. Now, there are some issues that I think you may come to notice should you think on it for a second, which is, okay, well, how do we get cards in trash for our Zwart? Because one of the issues is actually that these Zwart needs these 2 in trash to play them out. And that's fair. Another issue is, all right, I mean, this still seems pretty expensive. Is there not like a better way to either cheat out the Zwart or to cheat out the level 5s? The level 6s. Maybe. I actually don't know that information. that is an answer I don't have for you. But I will tell you, these are the auxiliary cards that I'm currently playing in the list to try and make certain things a little bit easier. So currently we're playing 3 Raremon. It's just like the easiest one that I immediately thought of for a way of like getting some cycle and then pitching key cards into the grave. Because once you get a single Kresk and a single Blitz in the grave, your entire deck comes online with the Zwart engine, which is fantastic and you really like to see it. You will consistently see your pieces, because again, the level 5s in the Dark Masters engine are just searching for just an obscene amount of level 6s at any given point every time they're played. So you can also use the Zwart as a searching engine preemptively to try and get to them. And then we're also playing tech cards in a lot of matchups. So obviously we're playing 3 Medieval Gallant. This card's obscene. And one of the reasons it's obscene is because, well, let's say you have the Kresk out. You can just get a Medieval out immediately, and your Kresk is now online. It's actually a really good red source. We're only playing 2 Kresk and 3 Blitz, because the red source is actually harder to get access to, typically, because we are able to play Metal Sea in Archetype. Whereas Dark Masters don't have access to a red source that we can make use of with the Kresk, even though I think the Kresk is actually better as a means of protecting your deck as an entirely, or in its entirety. However, with the Medieval on board, your opponent has to deal with the Medieval interruption, as well as find a way to remove it that isn't by effect, because the moment they attempt to remove it by effect, boom, you DNA into an Alter S, which then in and of itself is a form of removal, which is pretty nice. It's also just a really good card, unsurprisingly. Up next, we're playing 2 Vike. This deck started off as a ace list. So prior to the new Kresk and Blitz stuff, the way that Dark Masters used to be played is with a bunch of aces and stuff. You'd set up a bunch of level 5s that searched. You have like a single Apocalypse that you could recur multiple times, like Mephisto if you wanted, and you would just like try and set up like these really powerful level 6 aces that your opponent couldn't answer. One of them being Vikemon, and I really liked Vikemon for that existence. It was just a really strong card that prevents your opponent from swinging a lot of the time and saves you a turn or 2. So I ended up keeping it back in the deck. I'm not sure how much I like it, though it did come up a couple games, like against a Lucemon deck. So you can keep that in mind. And then on to some of our more tech cards. We're playing 1 Crimson mode and 1 Paladin mode. I'm not sure if these are the ideal level 7 aces for the list currently, but one of the problems that I actually experienced in testing was that if you had a Kresk and a Blitz on field, your opponent could remove it by effect, but they could remove it by battle, which is one of the reasons that the Omni option was so powerful, was because the Omni Ace was an ace. However, we don't have that luxury because the new Alter S isn't an ace. So what you can do is you can threaten with these cards, and again, they are searchable in the archetype, so you will more than likely see them, which is why only playing 2 seems pretty decent for me. The Paladin mode is also nice for resetting your trash, and then the Gallant is also really nice as a finisher, should your opponent leave up something or swing into your Blitzcrank, and then you're able to delete their stuff and then keep this into your next turn. Will usually punish them pretty heftily. Then we're playing 2 Ultimate Chaos. This card's really interesting as well, because it's like a pseudo Zwart in a way. Once you have a yellow or black Digimon and a green or purple Digimon on field, be it a Piedmon, Medieval Gallant, a Machine Dramon, you can take the other opposite end of the color spectrum from your hand and DNA them using the option, the Ultimate Digimon Assembly, which we are playing 2 of here. And then you can place 2 level 6 Digimon from your trash underneath sources, and then it has partition for those 2 same color options. And then when digivolving, you can bottom deck up to the amount of level 6s you have in your sources. And then if you have 4 level 6s in your sources, you can get security attack +3 and piercing, which is really, really strong, as it just is a board wipe. It threatens 4 checks by itself. It's 16k, it's got piercing. And then if you delete it, well, the ideal ones, obviously, that you can place underneath it is black, green, purple, and yellow. You can place one of the Blitz or Kresk as the black source. You can use the Metal Seed, you can use the Pied, you can use the Machine, or you can use Medieval Gallant. So my ideal stack is whatever was there initially, and then I would place a Medieval Gallant and a Kresk Garurumon underneath using its effect, and then whenever your opponent would remove it, I would play out the Medieval Gallant and the Kresk. The Kresk would bottom back to level 5, and then this would then pop an 8k or lower, plus suspending something, making it 11k DP, depending on whatever else is currently suspended on board. And then if they attempt to remove that, you can then immediately DNA those 2 bodies into an Omnimon, which makes it like just a super sticky deck. It's very hard to actually get rid of your pieces once they're on field. And then finally, we're playing 4 Analog Youth as just a means of getting pieces into the trash and finding either level 5s we need for searching, or finding the Dark Masters that we really need, or Zwart that we really need to actually make full use of the combo going. You're very rarely actually using the other part of the Analog Youth effect to gain the memory, which is unfortunate. So, for the Mother, obviously there's so many things in our deck that have alliance, be it the Gallant, the Blitz, the Kresk, being able to like keep them on board and then also threaten just like an obscene amount, just like hatching a Mother, playing out one of your level 6s against a deck that probably can't delete them on their turn 1, and then promoting it and then swinging in for 26k and then playing out the other one, essentially inoculating you from removal entirely, is fantastic. It genuinely feels really good. It also is a white source for Mega Digimon Assembly, so we can actually use it proactively without our opponent needing to have a level 6 on board. Though, mind you, again, Analog Youth kind of fits that bar. Now to talk about other options. I've considered more of like a Mega Dramon package. I've considered a Belphamon package. I've considered oh god, I can't remember the third one. But those 3 are the ones that, at least these 2 are the ones that I've looked at the most as a means of like actually more proactively milling your cards and pieces into the trash. The problem is that they aren't as good at accessing Zwart, nor are they as good at searching for level 6s as the Dark Master engine is. Being able to spit out at level 5 immediately turn 1, and then turn 2 promote the Dark Master, go into a Zwart, play back the level 5 that you just deleted using its effect the prior turn, and then getting maybe an extra level 5 on top of that. That's search your top 12 cards to your deck, add 6 level 6s to your hand. It's an insane amount of value for what we kind of want to do in the deck, which is accrue a critical mass of Omnimon Alter S's in hand and then swing out for game in a single turn, which is really, really cool and really, really good. The problem with this deck is actually getting those pieces in trash consistently, and that's something that I've found a problem in. You can maybe replace the Miller D Reaper with a like Uko, like Fascomon draw engine kind of style with the Marimon, Demi Marimons, like pitching level 5 or higher to draw 2. Like those could actually work as well, though I'm not completely sold on them, and I don't really know for sure if they are actually the ideal way to be using the deck currently. Again, I'm not solid on the list. I'm still testing it consistently. Other core cards that you can actually be playing that make a world of difference that I just haven't found space in the list to make use of. You can make use of the new Tai and Matt in the EX9 set. They have the on-play add a Blitz, or add a Garurumon, Greymon, or Omnimon card from your trash to your hand. If this card didn't add, draw a card. It's a 4-cost tamer, and then whenever a Digimon you play, and whenever a Digimon is played or Digivolve on your side of the board, all turns you can spend this tamer and then gain a memory for a Greymon you have, and then gain a memory for a Garurumon that you have. So the ideal is, your opponent deletes your Omnimon, you play out the Blitz and the Garuru, they activate their effects, and then you can use the Mat and Tai to suspend and gain 2 memory stealing 2 memory on their turn. Other ways you can make use of it effectively is with the the Zor. You can play out those 2 from trash and then immediately gain that 2 memory back, making the 6 cost EO not as expensive. For every one of those you have, genuinely the higher likelihood you are to win the game. One of the problems though is that they're so expensive, and the other problem is that you cannot consistently find them in the list. There's no way to actually search them. So you kind of just have to hope and pray that you find them, which I think feels really bad. I've tested out the Mamemon, the 7 cost Mamemon that searches the top 5 and plays a tamer out for free, and I've seen some success with it, which isn't bad. But again, I think at the current state that Digimon is at, having the ability to play out multiple level 5s over the course of multiple turns, I think is a fool's errand. And you're going to most likely die, unfortunately, if you spend like 3 turns just doing nothing but playing out level 5s and hoping and praying that you're just accruing enough value to eventually do something. You gotta be a lot more proactive, I feel like. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching. I know this is a different style than I typically do for a deck profile. I usually go card by card and I go over all the combos. This time I went over like the core engine for the combo, and then I went over the draw engine and kind of what's trying to make use of it, and then the auxiliary cards. But let me know if you guys like this style. And thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.